If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I love my greenhouse, and I also love that it has a few things in it that are memorable and that I am very frugal by nature. that is how we built this. And we used things that we had or had been given and built it. I planned it on grid paper, kind of planned it out, a rough plan, and then my husband and dad took it and did what I had planned. So I'm going to show you what we did, how we did it, give you some ideas maybe if you have things laying around like this that you could do your own smaller, bigger greenhouse, whatever, with whatever you might have laying around, or something that you might be able to get your hands on. So this is the greenhouse. It is approximately 13 by 14. All these windows are used. They are actually pulled out of rental houses from my dad, and he had them stored, asked me if I wanted them because he was cleaning out the garage, and I said yes. And I had stored them behind the garage and in the barn for about a year, and then I made plans this past spring to get the greenhouse done since we had some extra time. So let's look at some of this. So this is sitting, of course you can't really see it really well. You can see it over here at the door. This is sitting on treated 4x4 posts because they won't rot quite as easily as just regular 4x4s. While I personally don't like a lot of treated wood. That was kind of non-negotiable. Other than cedar, and cedar wasn't really in my budget. So we did a 4x4 base. We just leveled it, set it right on the ground in my garden. I cleared out a corner, had to move some of my raised beds over. But all these windows, all these on this side and around the corner over here are all the same size on the bottom. So I kind of left out with that. You can see there my rain barrel that's in process. But all these windows on the bottom are the same size on these sides. Now, this is the south and east side. I did some research, figured out where it needed to go, and this is the plan. Now, while I do kind of wish I would have moved the door over on this side, because the door is now on the outside of the garden, so to get in and out I do have to go around that. But you know, with these windows though, I didn't even realize this, but they're double hung, so they actually will open from the bottom. So if I really wanted to open the bottom, say let the chickens in there in the winter or anything like that, I could, but I didn't really think of, that's actually what I thought of originally. I didn't realize that they actually open from the top and down. There's still a couple with screens there, but all these other ones, so I can open all these and I'll show you on the inside. I can open all these windows here all the way around, which actually allows the wind and the air movement over the top of anything that I have planted here, which really helps to cool things down, and it also helps to harden off. So I can shut these windows so in early spring or this fall or winter if I want, but in the summer or when I'm starting to harden things off, this is awesome. It's kind of like when you have a greenhouse with plastic and they roll it up. This will actually help harden off my little seedlings. The ends of them holding them up are pallet slats, and then the shelves are actually from a bar. We had a bar in our kitchen. We remodeled that here recently and cut it in half, and that's what I used. This shelf over here was actually in the wall in our spare bedroom. We used for a desk, miscellaneous whenever the kids were younger and would do schoolwork at the desk, so we did that. As you can see, it's kind of junked up a little bit. These are cushions that I've got to recover. I keep the wheelbarrow in here to mix soil. I've got some of these black trays that fold down from a food pantry, and I use them to put some of the seed pots on whenever I am starting seeds. I've got my chicken feed in here. I've got lots of pots. These I'm not real sure about. These are egg cartons that I'm using up here to start stuff in for fall, and I'm not sure that I'm real pleased with those. I thought they might be a good idea, but I'm not real sure yet. But yeah, I have more pots, My soil stuff is over here. I've just got, this is from my uncle, but yeah, windows all the way around. Now the most expensive part of this probably was this clear acrylic. It was more expensive. I really had to find what I wanted to use for that. You could use plastic from a greenhouse, or you could probably use plastic from a big box store to start out with. But all the metal on the roof and the metal on the outside, all this metal on the outside, and then the metal up on the roof on this side is from my grandma and grandpa's barn that they tore down. I went and got some of that metal because I knew I would use it, and I'm really glad that I had it. It worked out perfectly for this. And even with some of the holes in it, it doesn't really, I thought I was gonna have to plug them up, but I'm not. I haven't so far. Even with some of the downpours that we've had, it's been really good. Has leaked maybe a tiny bit, but other than that, it's done really well. Window actually slides open on the ends. I haven't slid that open any. My plan, I have a little chair there, which hasn't been used with all the cushions in it, but the plan, I've got hangers up here for pots that need flowers in them, but I want to put something over here too. And this was kind of an idea. Idea also was to be able to come out here in the cooler weather, not right now that it's already 90 degrees in here and it's not even 9 o'clock in the morning. But the plan was to be able to come out here and sit. I could read out here in the cooler weather, and it would just be, especially like in the fall when it's cool, or the winter, early springtime, it'll be nice to come out here and just kind of have a little spot of my own to sit and read and to do, just kind of meditate, I guess, and think about the day. The cedar, we put cedar on this side. This is actually cedar from our land. My husband cut down some cedar trees and had it milled, and this is what we have so far. I do have to put a clear coat on this because I don't want it to completely lose its color and turn gray. The blue border is only because that's the color of paint I had. I looked for paint in the house, and that's what I had. I didn't want to buy any, so that's what it got. It got a blue color. I wasn't going to talk about my fence, but my fencing is actually pallets that I took apart with a Sawzall, and then that is all the parts of the pallet. I used the bracing for the back of the fence. I cut some of the slats. Some of the pallets were longer, and that's where some of these longer posts came. Some were wider, and I think it just gave it a good variance. I do have a hosta right there though that is pushing on my fence. All right, so pay no attention to the dead flowers in those. This fence post and that one way down there that is not in the ground yet. These are from my grandma and grandpa's house that is being sold. I'm going to use these as the corner posts for my fence out here. My uncle had put these hangers on them, so I left those because I thought that would be really nice to put some flowers in. But as you can see, I haven't put flowers in them yet. I may put some fall flowers. I may leave them and wait until spring. I have a bunch of irises out here that are from my grandma's house that I got a long time ago. I have a rose, and I have hostas, which that hosta is huge right there and really needs to be cut back. It's pushing on my fence. I need to separate it. But roses from my grandma's house, they are starting to bloom. I love roses. I have a really big old-fashioned rose up by the garage, and it smells wonderful. A new flower I planted this year is zinnias. I am amazed at how these are growing from just like, this is one plant. That's one plant. I just cannot believe how much they're growing. I've got some marigolds in there. There's some thyme and some tarragon tucked back in there just because I had some extra, or actually pulled it off of my existing plant. But as you can see, the butterflies love these plants, and so do the bees. So zinnias are a new favorite flower. They are so pretty. They attract pollinators, so next year I plan on putting them, while they're on the outside of my garden right now, I plan on putting them, closer to the inside, planting them sporadically throughout. Okay, back to the greenhouse. So I have this table set up out here as my hardening off table, or things that don't really need to be in the greenhouse but need some shade. They're out here. So in here you can see probably better. You can see right there that the windows actually sit right on top of that 4x4 post. And then we sprayed some expanding foam in between where there was some spots. And up here we put the windows right next to each other, except for spots that we needed maybe a little bit more support here and a little bit more just to make the length that I needed to fit to. But then there's just a top board on there, and you can see we sprayed some more foam there. It is closed in a little bit more where birds can't get in. This side is not. So we'll see how it does over the winter, see what kind of critters and stuff that I get in here, but that is open. Of course, in the winter, all these windows and things will be shut. And the plan for the door, so we were going to replace the storm door on our front of our house, and I was going to use the old one and put it here in the greenhouse. So that is actually framed for that specific door. So the door for the greenhouse will most likely be the storm door off of the front of our house. That's what we planned for, to buy a new storm door for our home, and then put the other door that we are no longer using on the greenhouse. We'll see how that works for winter. We're kind of just playing this by ear to see how it will work.